Hey, what's up guys? John here. We have something huge happening right now on the horizon. It's unbelievable, and it's this eviction moratorium that's set to expire in the next 12 hours. Biden and the Biden administration are trying to extend it. However, it looks like it's going to expire. And when it does expire, what we will see is a whopping 10 million people that could be displaced. 10 million people. A whopping 3.6 million would likely be evicted and be displaced in the next 2 months. 144,000 people would be displaced in Florida alone. This is a massive issue. And when we put this up against Biden talking about new potential closures, if he is told that he should close schools, businesses, close the economy down again, he will do it. So we have all of these people displaced. We have the business sector closed, schools closed. When you close schools, who takes care of the kids? One of the parents has to stay home and watch these kids. When they're staying home watching the kids, how can they earn a living? This is going to be a tsunami of problems, and we're standing in front of it right now. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what we can expect. So please smash that like button. When you do, YouTube's going to share the content and educate more people as to what's really going on. So please smash that like button. Let's begin. First and foremost, I believe the eviction moratorium and the forbearance program, we will look back on this in 1 year's time and say, that was the worst thing that America has ever done to capitalism, to freedom, and to the middle class. What we're seeing now is a mindset built out around these politicians that is a, I'll do for you, you don't have to do anything now. I'm gonna give you a way out. I'm just gonna take care of everything for you. And then essentially what happens is the middle class and most people build this false sense of security depending on these leaders. And when you have that level of dependence on these leaders, they essentially control every aspect of your life. So for that small bit of safety, that financial safety, we lose everything. And this is what we're gonna see when this eviction moratorium and the forbearances, all this expires. We're gonna see this was a horrible trap that everyone fell for. But what's interesting is they're starting this eviction moratorium with the tenants first. They're gonna be relocated first. Except California and New York, they're gonna have a little bit more time. But the homeowners, they're gonna get a little bit more time than the renters in most states, but that is only right around the corner. For example, the FHA extends the eviction moratorium for foreclosed loan borrowers. The Federal Housing Administration, FHA, today announced an extension of the moratorium on evictions for foreclosed borrowers and their occupants through September 30th, and noted the expiration of the foreclosure moratorium on July 31st. So this period, this foreclosed borrower period, which is happening in about 2 months, we're going to slowly start to see millions and millions of homeowners lose their homes, their family homes, all based on the lie that they could defer these payments. If your payment's $2,000 a month and you haven't paid in 16 months or 18 months, you might not have $30,000 to make good on that payment. And then you might not be able to refinance your mortgage simply because maybe you were laid off or you quit your job. And now, what do people do? So what I think is likely going to happen is we're going to start to see a lot of these private equity firms run out there and buy up all these distressed homes, all based on this false sense of security that we were given 18 months ago through the White House. Landlords and tenants have both been lied to throughout this entire situation. Tenants have been given that false sense of security, yes, but landlords were also told that they were going to receive checks from Congress and that they would not assume any hardship, any loss. But that wasn't the case, was it? And now what's interesting is Congress is sitting on billions and billions of dollars that has not yet been paid out to landlords, yet they're going to let all of these tenants basically go homeless. So what happens with all this money? This is how bad the situation is right now. It says the eviction moratorium is expiring, yet the vast majority of rental aid has still not been paid. In December, Congress appropriated $25 billion of emergency funding to get money out to tenants at risk of eviction after falling behind on rent payments. But more than half a year later, just 12% of that money has been used, the Washington Post reports. In March, Congress set aside another $21.5 billion to help those renters. Even less of that has been distributed. So you think about what this is doing, what they're doing right here is a massive power grab. They're lying to the tenants, they're lying to the landlords, Meanwhile, they're stripping everybody of their financial security. And what then is going to happen is all of these people are going to be in big, big trouble. You have 30,500,000 small businesses in America, most of which live under restrictions, and you have so many of them that are mom and pop landlords. So their business is losing money and now their property is losing money. And then what's ultimately going to happen is these people are going to need help. They're going to need help. So I asked myself this question. Let's say that the number is 15 million or 20 million people with forbearance, with eviction moratorium, all of these people. And Biden shuts everything down again, as he just threatened to do today. He said if he gets the word, he's going to shut things down again. So you have 10 or 15 or 20 million people that need housing. I mean, that is the size of Florida. 20 million is about the size of Florida. Where would you put all of these people, these 20 million people? You definitely couldn't just go buy an entire state and build out the infrastructure and give them all free housing. Where could you possibly put all these people? There's no way that they're simply just going to continue printing and printing and printing money and taking care of all their bills because, hey, let's face it, they haven't done that in the first place. Why would they do that going forward? So what I think is very likely to happen is either Big Brother is going to have to come up with some type of housing accommodation. Maybe they have some facilities all across the country. Maybe they could give people short-term or long-term assistance there. But who knows? But you look at how massive this problem is. And if they don't do anything about it, think about what New York City would look like in the dead of winter when you have people that are facing increased costs for food, products, and services, and they don't have money for rent, and they can't get approved for an apartment simply because they don't have any income. They don't have income, and they just recently got evicted. They can't show references. So things are about to get really nasty, really, really nasty, and I think we're really just staring right at the eye of the storm. So I have a couple things that I think are very likely to happen. I'm not sure which one is going to be the right answer here. So here's how I see things playing out. So there could be one situation, and this situation would be private equity firms, BlackRock, Blackstone, KKR, a lot of the big guys that are running out there, buying homes by the thousands, may say, hey, you know what? Let's pull back the capital for about a year. Let's let this market bleed out. When we let this market bleed out and people can't afford the past rents because we've seen rents climb so fast, they can't afford these rents. Why don't we decrease the pricing on these rentals for that period, for that year and a half? Maybe we drop the rental prices big time. Meanwhile, what that's going to do is it's going to bleed out and erode a lot of the mom and pop landlords that bought a lot of these buildings in the last decade at a 5, 8, or a 7 cap, somewhere around there. These people aren't going to be able to hold on to their buildings at a loss. So what they're essentially going to do is they're going to force this recession into a massive depression. And then when that happens, then they can go out there and be way more aggressive because there's going to be a lot more inventory. Then when that happens, then they can just increase rents and decrease the standard of living throughout America. So I think that's going to be a very strategic position that they could take. So that could be option one. Option two is that they just absorb the market share immediately. Right as foreclosures start beginning, they just go out there and buy them up. Or option three, which is also very likely, is that what happens is these big banks that are holding on to all this bad debt start just selling the debt directly to the private equity firms. So let's just say they're sitting on $100 billion in bad loans. They call up KKR, and KKR is saying, hey, let me call BlackRock. And they're like, okay, hey, look, I'll put up 25 mil, you put up 20, or I'll put up 250 mil, you put up 250 mil, and we're going to go out there and we'll finance this at 50%, and they'll get a 50% loan on it at a fixed rate, at a really good rate, and then essentially they're going to go out there and they'll go buy 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 homes at a time, and that's how these banks will get out of having to hold on to this bad debt for much longer. So when they do that, then they can evade agent cost of say 5 or 6%, the holding cost, the insurance cost, the utility cost, all of these costs, and especially attorney fees, because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be hoarding into these homes and trying to live for free. So these are a few of the situations that I see that are likely to happen, and I guess we won't know which direction this is going to go I guess in, maybe for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, depending on how long this really takes to start unwinding. But I'm genuinely curious, what do you guys think about this eviction moratorium, about the forbearances? Do you think this is a good thing? And what do you think, and what's your prediction on where you see this outcome going over that period? Drop your comments below, smash the like button, consider subscribing here. Also consider subscribing to my second channel. I'm gonna go live on that channel tonight. I'll leave the links down below. Consider subscribing over there, and I'll see you guys next video.